Hey everyone, I'm Kyle with Attended Life, and today I'm going to be putting together like a quick and easy simple mud kitchen for my daughter Solstice. She's currently about 18 months old, so we're reaching that age where we need some more activities in the garden so mama can get some gardening done and she can still have a really good time while she's in there. We added a slide and we have a couple more ideas, maybe a sandbox, maybe some other stuff, but the mud kitchen seemed like the next logical step because she loves being on her learning tower and cooking with mama whenever she's prepping meals. So yeah, we'll get started. I'll kind of walk you through the material list. For the most part, I tried to utilize whatever scraps I had around the garage. The last owner of the home actually left behind a stainless steel sink. So yeah, we have this to go off of. This is kind of what I based the whole structure off of. And then I had some 2x6x8 boards, about 5 of them, and then 2 4x4 boards that are each about, I think, 60 inches, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah, this should give us flexibility to essentially build a table with a hole in the middle of it where the sink's gonna go. You're gonna base a lot of your width measurements off of the sink. I think for length, I'm gonna go somewhere in the ballpark, maybe 55, 60 inches. That should give her enough space if she has a friends over that they're not arguing over the counter space that's left. When I was digging around for some inspiration on this, I actually found like a couple great posts that I'll link below in the description. But I think we're gonna do not necessarily like a backsplash like you would on a stove, but have some areas for her to hang up pots and pans, set things that she wants, add some decoration. I'm sure it'll be fun for Julia and Sol to get together, paint some decorations for her mud kitchen, and yeah, just make it personal to her. I'm gonna go with Roots and Wings suggestions for the height of the front and rear of the mud kitchen. It looks like they had their 4x4s cut at about 20 inches in the front, and then in the back they had them at about 42 inches high. My daughter's 18 months old, but I definitely want her to be able to grow into it. But that being said, I want her to be able to use it this spring. So if there is any issues with the height before I put everything together, I'm gonna have her come test it, and then we'll scoot everything down as necessary. But this Roots and Wing guide is super simple. When I was actually searching the pieces of wood that I have, they were one of the first ones that come up. They lined up pretty close. I didn't have to get anything extra. We had wood screws and just scrap wood in the garage from past projects. So yeah, like I said, I'll link that down below if you're interested in finding out the detailed cut list. But if not, you should have a pretty good understanding of what's gonna be required on the project just by working along with me today. We've got our two 4x4x6s marked up. Time to get out the skill saw and do some cutting. So again, we're gonna cut at 42 inches and then another 20-inch piece. You'll have a little scrap left on the end. Now that we have our 4x4s cut and ready to go, we're gonna measure our 2x6s and we're gonna cut 5 lengths of 60 inches for the width. So that'll be the front and back portion of the frame, as well as 2 mounting points above the cooking surface. And then once those are in place, we'll have a final one up top, which will just kind of like finish everything off, give it a finished look, and have a place to set things. Kind of a shelf where Solstice can put cups, whatever she needs up there. Now that you have 5 60-inch pieces of 2x6 cut, you're gonna create the remaining 2 pieces of 2x6 that you need for the foundation. To do that, you're gonna measure the length of your sink front to back and cut some pieces of scrap 2x6 that you have to that length. Mine measures 15 inches, so I'm gonna cut it to 15 inches. The great thing is you'll have 2 inches of lip on each side to support under the sink. And yeah, just a tip on these sinks, our last owner left us this, but I see these all the time at the reuse and repurpose stores. They have them in a lot of cities. It's kind of like a vintage store, but with more like kind of household, I don't want to say junk, but treasure for other people to find. And yeah, you can find these for super cheap. I know the cost of wood is super expensive right now. That's why I'm trying to use as much scrap as I can. But yeah, there's a couple cost saving things that you can have. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be super simple. I'm gonna find hooks that I have around hanging around my garage, put them on there. So we'll see how it all comes together. So let's start screwing this thing together. So first thing I have set up here is basically the frame of the table. This is gonna be the first thing I screw together, and then we're gonna tuck the legs on the inside corner, and then from there we'll start attaching the tabletop, the backboard, and then the top headboard. To screw these parts of the frame together, I'm using some 3.5-inch General Wood screws with the Torx head specifically. I heard a while back that Torx heads are less likely to strip in the event that you need to go repair your structure, and ever since then I've just favored them as my first choice of screw head. So yeah, let's get this thing put together. Now that we have the base of the frame together, time to put on the legs. We're gonna put the shorter ones in front, taller ones in the back. Doesn't really matter which one's the front and back right now, but just make sure you line them up. Short ones on one long side, tall ones on the other. For anyone working on this mud kitchen by themselves like I am, I found it really handy to put on the short legs first and then break out the level and just stack some books underneath the back portion of the kitchen, just so you can make sure that the rear legs are lining up appropriately. Of course you can measure and do it all right, but this is probably like the easiest way I've found. I don't want to say like the quickest or best, because I doubt it's either of those, but it's definitely going to work for me. When I lined up my sink, I noticed that there was a portion of the back that has a little bubble on the bottom. So what I'm gonna do, I have a little piece of scrap wood here. I'm gonna cut out the shape of the divot in the sink so it kind of sits flat, posted, and is like super secure in there, because I have a feeling Soul's gonna end up crawling in there sooner than later. Now that we have this part set up and we have our 60-inch 2x6s, it's time to cut out the final pieces of the tabletop that we're gonna have. And then we should be on our way to finishing this all up. Hey, baby. You wanna say hi? Yeah. Okay, say hi. Hi. So for this third board on the tabletop, it was gonna hit my 4x4, so I carved it out a little bit at the top, just used a circular saw and then a wood chisel to get some good fitment in there. And now I'm gonna finish up the remainder. Thank you. A quick tip for anyone planning to build this with their toddler around: get all your cuts out of the way first, and then after that, basically everything around is safe. All you're gonna have is your driver, so you can pop the battery out when you're not using it. And then you have a great little helper coming around to hand you screws all the time. You got something for me? Thank you so much. See, can't beat it. Now that we have our tabletop all set up, let's put on the backsplash and the top and then do this final touches, a little sanding, decide on paint, haven't picked the color yet, and then yeah, you're all good to go and your kid's ready to play and have some fun. More? Don't forget to hang up some hooks so your kids can hang all the pots, pans, and spoons and stuff that they want. just go hit Goodwill or your local vintage store, stock up on some like fun, funky pots and plates for them to have out here just to leave out. They're gonna get messy and muddy, there's no stopping that, so no need to use the fine china. Now that your backsplash is done, your tabletop's ready to go and the foundation's all set, your mud kitchen's all ready for your kids. From this point on, I'm just gonna basically do some light sanding around it to take care of any rough cuts that I have. And then when that's all done, when the next sunny day comes, we're gonna paint it a bunch of funky colors, just let her go crazy with it, finger paints, whatever she wants to do. And until then, she'll be ready to play in it, help out mama in the garden, wash some vegetables. I'm gonna try to come up with a faucet system to attach to it. So once I do kind of figure out some of that stuff, I'll let all you guys know. But if you want any more homestead content, like simple building tips for creating some meaningful engagement opportunities with you and your kids, make sure you follow along because we've got a bunch of stuff planned and a bunch of stuff in the works. But thanks again, guys. I'll see you soon.